10 o'clock. Go ahead and get started. Minutes are included in the packet. Anybody have any corrections to what was provided?
Yeah, item 1 says open meeting and corrections to the December 6th meeting, but I would imagine that was the February meeting. Minor comment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Easy ones to overlook. Other than that, I didn't see anything.
All right. Item 2, water precipitation and drought update. Mr. Ramsey.
I'm gonna let Carrie handle this one.
Okay.
So there is a packet that gives updates on that in the agenda. Essentially, we've had little to no precipitation, and the CRWA is still in stage 2 on the water conservation. The water level in Canyon Lake is getting very low right now, as well as I think in Lake Zadlands, we're just a couple feet above, critical stage. As mentioned in the water conservation report, GRA has added 2 additional conservation stages. It's not as really a significant change. There's now 2 more levels added in there. So there's a total of 6 stages now, but the 6th stage being things like the failure of the system. I'm not sure if there's anything else to add. Apologies, everybody. This is my first board of managers meeting, so I'm probably going to stop.
Yeah, I just was about to bring that up. This is your first board of managers meeting. Can you just give a quick spill about yourself? I mean, you're preaching to 2 trustee members, and I think Justin already heard from you a little bit too. But
yes, certainly. So I've been doing water and wastewater engineering now for over 20 years. Worked several years for San Antonio Water System, several years for San Antonio River Authority, a couple of years on the dark side, working for private firms. Water is my passion, always has been. I consider it the most precious resource on earth. And so that's what really interested me in joining the Canyon Regional team. So happy to be here and help us go to a bright future. We have, a future supply of safe, affordable water.
and Terry, this is now your third week at Canyon Regional?
Second week.
Second week, okay.
Yeah.
Got it all figured out.
Yeah. Trying to wrap my head around everything.
Sorry, Justin, I didn't mean to take your meeting. I just forgot that this was your first one.
With the addition of those additional drought stages, did it change where we're at today or what stage 3 looks like?
Yeah, I don't know if it's further in down here, but I would like in this meeting discuss the draft drought mitigation plan for Canyon Regional and the drought conservation plan. There's some items in there that we can take out, maybe add in before we actually take this to the Board of Trustees. And it's my plan to actually, it's never been brought to the Board of Managers before, so I thought it would be good to bring it to the Board of Managers so that you all can go through it, approve the changes and everything, and then take it to the Board of Trustees. So I don't know if you want to discuss those plans now or if you want to wait till later in the meeting.
We'll go ahead now.
Okay. So Brandon had some comments about the conservation plan when we first came into this meeting. Brandon, why don't you go ahead and make your comments and we can discuss it.
Well, I can tell you that when I first got in here, I was not aware of the full contents of Canyon Regional's plan before this draft, and so I'm definitely not going to be well versed in what's new in this plan versus what was there before. And the thing that caught my eye is a requirement, depending on water loss, to test all master meters and the random sampling of at least 5% of the members' meters. That's a pretty significant request there. I know for East Central that's going to be at least 500 meters. You're talking about $200,000 to $300,000 by the time you're done for that.
What page are you on?
Oh, I'm on page 10. I don't know how far down this gets to go if it goes to saws, but I can promise you saws will market a random 5% of their meters too. So I just think maybe there's a different method, a little better method for explaining why the water loss percent might be up. Obviously, things are different. You know, we don't have the city of Ciplo here. They've got a very small water loss number, compact system versus a crystal clear Spring Valley, something Green Valley, larger systems, more rural based, fewer connections per mile.
I think ours is 12%, no, 6, 8%. Green Valley's really improved our.
Oh, that's significant.
Actually, what it was, a lot of it was we had bad meters and they were hanging. So 100 gallons would go by and we would only read 90.
Yeah.
And so as we went through a meter replacement program, our loss numbers dramatically shrank. So ours are pretty good. I don't know how many master meters offhand we have. I don't know how many master meters we have.
I've got a question. When you bring up a valid point there, Randy. So the question I have, since this is the first time this is being done, why is this being required of county regional since we're a wholesale?
Oh, I apologize. I forgot to say that when I talked to Adam this morning, it was in the plan before this. It was not in addition to this.
No, this whole plan itself.
The whole
I know we're having to do for utilities, if we're a utility greater than 3,300, you have to do a conservation plan. I'm not sure why county regional has to do one.
We're doing one because it is required by TCQ and the Water Development Board.
Okay. And that goes back to Brandon's question. Brandon, when we do these plans, they correlate with regional.
Sure.
So we need to make sure that all information that regional has that's current, with the demands and revisions needs to be in this plan.
I did talk to Regional, because there was a question from Justin earlier in the month, where he thought I was referencing an older plan, which I was. I was referencing the plan from 2021. And so I talked to Regional about, well, do I include the information that's been submitted to Regional for the 2026 plan, which is the next one that they're going to adopt in 2025. They told me that I should include the 2021 information, and then when the 2026 plan is adopted, then to amend our conservation plan then and put those numbers inside there.
Remember the numbers that we sent them last year, weren't those for an amendment of the 2021 plan?
They're for the 2026 plan, with the revisions, but what I'm doing is I'm using the new numbers. You know, only because, because they've been approved by the
Because it
state.
shows your demand at 318 acre feet.
Because I believe this plan is for the next 5 years, correct? So it starts 2024, the next 5 years going, so I'm using 2024, 2025, 2026 numbers that have been revised by Fixed Water Development, so I'm using those numbers. That's what I'm saying, we gotta make sure our numbers are correlated to what we have, because what's gonna happen is gentlemen or women, staff, whoever's gonna review this is gonna say, okay, here's county region, let me look at all the entities, let me make sure the numbers, and the numbers aren't jiving, it's gonna be perceived to be a problem. I do not know. I'm making sure with regards to what we're doing in County Line, the numbers are correlating to regional revised numbers. You know, because to me it makes more sense, because I believe, Adam, if you correct me if I'm wrong, if you look at 5 years from past to 5 years to present. So 5 years to present are those numbers that are revised. And that's the number we're using.
Yeah, we don't have our Hayes County numbers in here either, just all of them.
Yeah, we're also using Caldwell.
Yeah, but none of the Hayes County numbers.
I thought I had the Hayes call numbers in there.
No, right here on the table 2, you only have Caldwell County, not Hayes County.
Flip the page.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
Is that?
Oh, there it is. There we go, at the bottom. That looks better.
Yeah, I don't know what we do. If staff's reached out to Regional, and Regional said use the old numbers and then use new numbers after that, but where do you go from there?
I'm doing my numbers.
The only reason why they said it is because the new plan hasn't been adopted yet. So, I mean, I could put in whatever numbers you all want to put in there.
I'd say for the benefit of Canyon Regional, reach out to TCQ, or is this water development board, which one is this one? Who's the one gonna see this at the end? Is it TCQ or water development board?
Water Development Board.
Because I know one is one and the other one's two. Yeah. My direction to staff is using the numbers. If you do bring up a good point, and here you have 140 gallons per capita per day reduction. We saw this more, using less than that, and some of us are never going to get there. So, yeah. That's my question, was this always required of Canyon Regional?
Yeah, I don't know how you capture the differences between Saws down to Martindale. I mean, it's gonna be impossible to do in this plan,
Exactly.
so,
I know it says it's the goal,
yeah.
the goals you need to be able to achieve at some point now.
Yeah, it even says in the rules on putting the plan together for wholesale water entities is to include regional numbers in the plan, so, or regional numbers.
Are you required, because I know I'm required to, as a host, and I'm also a wholesaler, to obtain the wholesaler's contracts, the wholesaler's conservation plan? So is this plan going to take everybody else's plan and put it in here? Because I'm required to do
That's what it
that.
says on page 11.
So we're going to do this, when we submit them to Canyon Regional?
Canyon Regional has never, I mean, that's been in our plans for decades. We have never asked for the plans from the different entities, but it would definitely help us be able to do our calculations and formulate this plan for the future, to have better numbers.
Well, I know you're not asked, but the requirement here is that you have that. There's a document, I guess it's H or L, because there's this checklist, and that checklist is if you have a wholesale agreement, what is that contract? And you've got to make sure that contract talks about using your conservation plan. If not, you need to provide, or also you need to provide their conservation plan. So we reached out to GoFort, to our wholesale with GoFort, and we need, again, the contract, and if it's not clarified that we amend or we abide by conservation plan, you have to get their conservation. Just, if that's required, you need to ask for those up front. Of course, that's something that gets adopted by the board.
Is it a requirement for Canyon Regional to require member entities to require a third party to implement this exact plan? Or is it only a requirement of Canyon Regional that the wholesale contracts include a conservation plan?
It's that the wholesale contracts include a conservation plan.
So I think that language probably needs to be cleared up here, because what this language says is it must meet this exact plan, and we just talked about the difficulties between a Saws and a Martindale, or whoever, Marion, Livonia, whoever you want to talk about.
They're all not gonna be the same.
No, it's
Format language.
And there's no way that we could, Canyon Regional can manage that. So, I mean, basically we have to rely on you all managing your plan.
I think Canyon Regional needs to have language in here that says, although all of us are required to have a plan either way, it doesn't really matter whether you say we need it or not. Everyone in this room has to have a plan. It should say in there that they should have this plan.
Yeah.
I just don't think it should say it should have this exact word for word plan and word for word.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Which we should all have anyway. I don't agree that
Yes.
to meet the same requirement that CRWA is meeting with TCQ and the Water Development Board. We should all have that anyway, but I agree with Brandon, we should clarify that.
Where it changes requirement is, I think, like you said, Umberto, 3,300 and less, or 30, less than 3,300 connections or population would not need to do it. And I don't think any of the member entities or wholesale customers meet that definition today. There always could be, someone small could come in and say, so I think it's important to require the conservation plan, but we're all required to do it already.
May 1st.
Got anything else out on the conservation plan?
Nope. Does anybody else have any comments on that? Okay, the next plan is the drought contingency plan, which is also due by May 1st. I would like for the board or the board of managers to go through this, and some of you already have, and I have received some comments and I've made changes in the plan. Some of the more major changes that I've made in this plan are due to GBRI making some major plans, which I got their plan a little over a week ago, and so I've incorporated the changes that they have made in their plan. So they've added another 2 stages, as Carrie had mentioned earlier. And basically, what GBRA had done is they went around and they looked at like LCRAs, drought contingency plan, and other river authorities around the state, and they noticed that their trigger levels were kind of high compared to other river authorities. So what they've done is they've added 2 additional trigger levels in there. And so rather than going into a pro rata share at stage 3, now we don't go into a pro rata share until stage 4.
And the second LCRA, like Travis and Buchanan are almost down to 30%
Yeah.
full, and they're not even to any type of mandatory restriction yet, so that makes a lot of sense.
So now, and currently, we are in stage 2. When they implement these, I imagine, and I hope that they put it on their graph they send me every week, the various stages. But now we don't enter into a pro rata state until stage 4, and then stage 5 again is a new stage that they added, which also has a pro rata share, but it's when the lake is really low and they want to cut 30% off of usage. And so those are the major changes that have occurred in the plan. The other thing too that we've added to our drought mitigation plan is CRWA's response to GBRA's curtailment. And that's the last part of the drought contingency plan.
And so one of the questions we've had, and this was a Jacob question, I'm going to take it away from him, over and over again, was how is GBRA going to implement that? Was it going to be based on historical uses, which they kind of were hinting at, or based on actual allocated contractual provisions? So I think they moved to the actual allocation.
That's what they've moved to.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ask that.
No, thank you, I appreciate that.
They were talking for a while about using the peak year of, each wholesaler, and I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Yeah.
So.
I see you talk about Will's Ranch or groundwater. I think you should mention something about groundwater, whether it's, has to conform to this plan or not, or whether the groundwater district has drought contingency plans. So you mentioned the supplies, which is on section 1.4, when we start talking about it, we just talk about GBRA water and surface water. I don't know if you need to break out the supply, like San Marcos water is different than GBRA water certainly, which is, I guess San Marcos water is predicated on the flow of the San Marcos Spring, so.
That's a great point.
That's what?
That is a good point. I forgot about San Marcos water, and
We
it
need
came
to make sure that we have all the supplies and all. And if it's silent, for instance, for the Gonzales groundwater, where it's silent to groundwater, you can just make a notation that there is no, or you conform to the groundwater district's water.
Well, they don't even list in this plan San Marcos' water, so that's,
San Marcos.
You need to add Martinez with 200 acre field.
yeah, Martindale's 200 would be the one I'd be more concerned about. San Marcos isn't even here.
No, when I meant San Marcos water, not San Marcos water, I meant the water coming out of San Marcos River.
Oh, got it.
I'm sorry.
Okay, got it.
But San Marcos River, because we have leased, we have rights to San Marcos water that are under different drought restrictions,
Yeah.
almost as if two rivers.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Has GBRA indicated that the water that goes from here in that pipeline to the plants can be reduced as well?
What they said is that we can include our Lake Dunlap water and our Hayes Caldwell water into one pool because it comes from the same water right. And they said, so if we can achieve a reduction over here at Lake Dunlap that we won't be able to achieve at the Hayes Caldwell plant, we can incorporate that in the overall right from Canyon Reservoir.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. And of course, you know, if we have a year like we did last year, that's gonna be impossible to do, so.
So do we need comments back on this slide?
I need to have both of these plans, or we need to have them approved by the Board of Trustees at the next trustee meeting, April 15th. So, if I can get some comments back, you know, this week, it gives me about a week to get the plans revised, send them out to you, and then you guys can do a final review of it before the Board of Trustees.
Is it the 15th or the 8th?
It's the 15th.
Move to the 15th. Roger, are you aware of any water conservation plans with the groundwater district, whether it be in Gonzales, that have been enacted so far?
I don't know, I'm gonna defer to Joan, because it's basically predicated on agreements that we have. You know, my presumption is a lot of the groundwater is firm,
Yeah.
right, until groundwater district passes some type of, and I can't remember, but I know the contracts we have are silent to that.
Are you advocating for a small paragraph word that says, we have groundwater and we'll evaluate further when those plans are implemented by the groundwater districts?
If there are plans for that, I mean, you just want to make sure you conform to what the groundwater district has. You want to go against the groundwater district we do have, so someone needs to research that.
Sure.
So I've always stated, always known, again, groundwater is firm, there is no reductions or anything. So no. And you
It's just
have,
whenever they decide to change it.
you change the rules, and then you start changing acre foot per acre, and that's when you got to start.
And I just want to clarify something. Did we all decide that we need to include the city of San Marcos' supply in the Hayes Caldwell, or should we not?
No, that was my misunderstanding. I thought he was talking about the city of San Marcos' supply rather than the San Marcos river rights, which have different conservation methods.
That's a valid question, because we have a contract with the city of San Marcos. So we're going to deliver the water at Hayes Caldwell. So why isn't that?
Because they have their own water rights, are we allowed to curtail it?
That's Martindale is the same way too.
Yeah.
They have that 200 and some
Yeah.
acre feet.
I don't know if we can curtail
That's a good
it.
question.
Their own water
Where that liability fall on?
Yeah,
San
but-
Marcos request.
So it's my understanding San Marcos is going to make the delivery, the diversion, and the diversion is tied to the water right at Hayes Caldwell. So Hayes Caldwell will be the one curtailing those. So San Marcos does not have 2,000 acre feet if there's curtailment, and we're the ones who can curtail that. It's, again, I'm just saying 2,000. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's 13, I think, 1,300.
The delivery point is to be at the Hayes Caldwell, so at some point they're relinquishing their right, giving it to Canyon Regional, but they still own it. Will be managing.
We're not gonna have an answer to those questions, but.
Well, I can imagine if they're holding those rights, that if they violate those plans, and they're the ones that are gonna get the slap on the wrist, not Canyon Regional, because they're the ones diverting it.
Yeah, but it's a conjunction, you're pulling it out of the river for them, right, so there's gotta be good communication there, and I'm sure it's not addressing the contractor, it's theirs.
Adam, when you reported those numbers to the water master,
I report them to the water
it's
manager.
probably up to King Regional.
Yes, we curtail it.
Okay.
Because they've assigned us the delivery point, and that's, I don't know if they've assigned us the water right. I know the delivery point is to be assigned.
You know, and now that I think about it, I think the contract does address it. I think it says that the contract is subservient to the drought contingency plan. Whenever anything is, I believe I'm right on that. So I think you're right, Dustin.
This is, how often are we able to adjust and revamp language in this? Isn't it yearly?
We, every 5 years, but we can amend them if we have to.
And it may, I mean, if we can't get an answer by then, we can wait until that time comes and then we can amend it.
Yeah.
And that would be my suggestion, that water's not gonna, we haven't even gotten the construction to start that project, other than a tank there for doing San Marcos' water, so I think trying to spend the next 4 weeks trying to chase that one down quickly, doesn't make a ton of sense if we can amend it when that project comes online. Same thing for Martindale's extra 255. Thank you.
It doesn't preclude the fact that you get the answer,
Oh, of course, yeah. Don't wait until the last second.
Get it done. Because, you know, I perceive you have a contract, so yeah, water, if you were to have the facility today, you would produce the water today, you would have to conform with these. So this is for the next 5 years, correct? So it's presumed that if we all go in to do what we need to with these calls, well, we're producing water in 2 years, a year, I don't know. So we conform to this. Maybe amended at that point, I don't know.
Any more comments on the draft contingency plan? All right, if we have any action leads, make sure to give them to Adam, so we can include those.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion on them, it really helps, so.
So we were hoping to have an approval here from the Board of Managers. We've asked for a lot of changes. Is the Board of Managers going to be comfortable with approving it contingent on the changes that we've just suggested, or how are we going to move this forward? We're not meeting again before the trustees. And we can't meet, I mean, May 1st is the deadline, and that's the deadline.
So it's a good point, going back to what was stated, you know, we can go ahead and approve it, based on changes, and then these get amended, it gets amended. I think that's what City Kyle did last time. Approve it, and it gets amended, We can recommend it get approved based on changes.
I'm comfortable with that. I don't think what we're advocating for here is some controversial change in this plan. I'm fine with making that recommendation to the Board of Trustees, or making Justin do it.
I'll second that.
Also with the conservation plan too?
Yes.
Okay.
Adam, can I ask you to do one small thing?
Sure.
Any changes from the package that we're going to send to the trustees compared to the previous version? Can you at least highlight those?
Yeah.
Where people that may not be as familiar with it,
I can,
such as myself
I mean-
from last year, can, you know, really focus on what has changed and make sure we understand why.
are you familiar with using the editor in Word?
If I have it in Word, I can look at it.
I can make the changes in Word and make those notes and then send them to you so that you can see.
I would also like anybody that's a trustee to, you know, that's not sitting here.
Oh, okay.
You know,
All right.
Well, that's what you did here, Adam, where you put your comments on the side.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can make that happen.
All right, moving to item 3, general construction and design projects. Construction committee report, Brandon.
Yeah, not too much to change on the Santa Clara and Zoll transmission line project. They're starting construction on it. They got their notice to proceed back in February, I believe. Same thing with the 1518 transmission line project. There is the pending change order to take a 30-inch valve. The construction committee still has not approved that change order. Actually hasn't been presented to us yet. We're just generally aware of it. The asset management, that's starting to move up again. It slowed down a little bit in that transition from CRWA staff handling it to UEG handling it, but I think it's kind of picking back up steam. My guess is it's going to probably be a delay by about 3 or 4 weeks. Is that fair, Randy? That be a
Yeah,
fair
it's
statement?
supposed to be due by, latter part of April.
Yeah.
But, like you say, it's gonna be a couple of weeks more.
I would think in May.
David Knapper is trying to say it's going to be done on time, but I didn't get the strong feeling it is probably going to be a little delayed.
And I think similarly with the design standards and specifications, I think that delay is probably a little bit more on staff than on UEG just because of the the sheer amount of documentation they received on those standards and specifications. It's taken quite a long time for them. We didn't have any recommendations to make. I don't have any recommendations to bring you all here or to the Board of Trustees in April 15th.
And I think UEG gave an update here in the packet, if you don't look at that. We'll move on to item 4 if there's any more questions, or no more questions.
I think the last thing I'll say, on the construction committee is that we had heard, there was supposed to be a meeting with the Hayes Caldwell group in March. That's been moved to April 10th. The construction committee, I've got other members here, so that's a pretty important meeting. There's a lot of Hayes Caldwell items that are closer or could be close to construction that really needs some good guidance. So we're really looking forward to staff conducting that meeting with that group and helping give the construction committee some guidance too. You know, a lot of this stuff is member entity driven, so we want some member entity feedback on the projects that are specific to them. So we're looking forward to that. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Treated water production update, Randy.
I'm gonna turn this one over here.
There's also, updates in the packets. You know, it seemed like the usage is kind of on par with the year. How we are going into the hotter months, so the usage is going to ramp up. Probably the most critical is Hayes Caldwell. You know, all members are planning on using 100% of the water from that plant. You might have some more insight on this, the Paul mobile unit, whether or not we're going to need to add another unit to be able to handle that load.
April 10th.
Am I putting you on the spot?
I can't, I mean, as of right now, we're okay, but if all of a sudden we start losing the modules on the coast side, then we're gonna be in a bind. So we can talk more about that.
We may need another trailer to meet demand.
If we start losing more than cartridges, we might have to.
Yeah, those cartridges can be replaced.
So just for the record, we were told that trailer would be able to meet our demand, that one trailer.
It would do what?
We were able to meet demand, that's where we got the trailer.
And even take racks out of service for replacement
Yeah,
and still meet demand.
yeah, that trailer was supposed to be there for the retrofit, and you could actually change the file and still meet demand. Just making that point. But for the April 10th meeting, if I may ask that we have, I just ran into this, I saw this the other day. Adora did, it's Adora, right? Adora did a task, and we had met previously as a group to do like 6 tasks, and we had conversations as to which tasks we would move forward with. We started at some date, maybe 2 tasks. We came back, we had another subsequent meeting, we had another meeting that had these other tasks. I guess what I'm asking for, we have some type of spreadsheet that said we met on this time, and we all agreed to do this task. And then we had another discussion collectively in the group to move forward with this task. And kind of like a checks and balances, we had money, and now we're down to so much money. So that'll be helpful for the whole discussion, especially for Carrie and us to remember that we did come together at one point, and we started moving this project down the line to try to address these tasks.
Now back when we were approving their scope of work.
Scope of work, but I know we did have a meeting where Dora came and said, you know, we had one meeting and it was 6 tasks, and we only did 1. And then we came back and we had another conversation, and we said it's best that we start moving this other route. And so we started listening. So I guess what would be helpful for me is to try to capture that with kind of some type of spreadsheet of the tasks when these things were agreed upon by the group, right? And that kind of helps with the discussion that we did come together at one point. We did address.
And I think you all approved all the base tasks, none of the additional tasks, if I remember correctly. There was a list, there was like 5 items that were base and then 2 that were additional. But one of those additional was water development board funding.
Yes.
Well, that project a project information form was just submitted for water development board funding.
Yes.
And that wasn't an approved scope.
I can't remember, because I know we had some work, I had some work about that.
Well, it was a huge amount of money, so it was like, and I'm sorry, it was a lot of money. The project information form, you know, was a very small amount of money, but the whole rest of the water development board funding has not been authorized by the, or authorized by Canyon Regional, I should say. You're gonna need to consider that because we already put the project information form. If you want our DUR to do those steps, it's gonna have to get approved.
And that goes back to the whole point, you know, what is it that, you know, first we did come together, we did work some issues out, we met again, we worked some more issues out, but that brings us some other issues.
Yeah.
You know, what about this money that's possibly over Canyon Regional or whatever? So I think for this April 10th meeting, that would be very effective. For us to see that, to see how we were in the past, how we come together, how we try to work it out. What else needs to be done? You know, because there needs to be some decisions. And what money's left, what we can do and can't do, and you know, that's a valid point, Brian, because I did see one of those tasks, and I was gonna push it back, that's a lot of money for filling out an application. When we had hired Mark Hall, I believe, or Mark Russell, and it made sense, but anyways.
Yeah, and I think it included doing the environmental and everything, not just the PIP, and that's where I think some people said, wait a minute, this is a lot of money. But yeah, I agree, that probably need to
So
see
Terry,
that.
you can do that, and have your staff do that, and it'll help in the discussion of that. Sure.
Staff, can you all speak to Lake Dunlap specifically? Is there any concern about, higher usage months coming? Any issues with the plant, maybe the tie-in that we've got to do? Is there any reason we wouldn't be able to meet demand at Lake Dunlap?
You mean as far as the alliance?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're gonna have a meeting next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday, we're gonna have a meeting with, Graham and, talk about the specifics of tying in and weirs and flows and stuff like that, so, that's all we know right now.
I know, in the construction committee, we're, especially tied to those, TxDOT projects, we're always discussing not doing critical tie-ins during high usage timeframes. So, you know, from Green Valley's perspective, we get a lot of water from this facility. You know, we need to make sure that when they're tying in, whatever the final decision is, that hopefully it's not in the middle of July, you know, during peak demand, and then it takes down, you know, at least even a portion of the facility.
Right.
For any period of time. So,
Yeah, we'll work through that, but, as of right now, next Wednesday, we've got that meeting, and I'll know more, or we'll know more about it by then.
but there's no other issues with the plant where we wouldn't expect to meet, you know, our coming demand during the higher usage months.
Not right now.
Not until they start working on time. Like I said, they are working in our windmill, and it's not been a pleasant experience.
So let's talk about Dunlap real quick, if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
David, I guess this probably questions for you. Or 2024 average days about 2 mg down from last year. Is that related to the capabilities of the plant or just demand with the rain?
Just the math.
Great.
We're in good shape right now. We did about a little over 18 million yesterday, I think, when it's raised math.
Thank you, sir.
Any more comments or questions on treated water production?
My same question about type of Wells Ranch. Is there any things that we have coming that we know would potentially affect our production?
For right now,
Yes, sir.
no, everything's pretty much quiet at Wells Ranch, right, dude?
We never talk about problems until they come up. We talk them into existence.
Your well that you did your cleaning on, that's up and running and you're happy with it?
Good.
The only thing I would say with the generators is there's a brownout, not a freeze, a brownout. You know, problems. So yeah, we got problems.
There's some changes to the EPPs too, you know, you said in that session, Brandon, you said on that one about the TCQ and TC update, where there's some changes on the EPP.
I didn't.
They're requiring, 48 hours of fuel instead of 24. If you lose 20, if you go down to 20 PSI or lower during a weather event, then you've got to rewrite your EPP, now. You have 180 days to do it once that happens. You can't wait for the 3-year update. There's some other ones, but that's the 2 bigger ones.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item 5, water treatment plant improvement projects. This is Brandon Rohan.
Maybe.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nanostone performance evaluation, staff received Garver's, I guess, technical memorandum. We haven't seen it yet. Randy or Terry, if y'all want to elaborate a little bit on what we got back from Greg.
Well, I mean, the basis of it is that they're recommending we install another bank of filters, to be able to have an operational capability, 2 banks, yeah.
How much is that?
That would make a total of, is it total 132 or additional?
The 88 was additional 44 for standby. So
So
we got
88
something,
additional plus an additional, how many percent?
44, one extra rack, so you got one for when you're doing cleaning and stuff, you can take one out of service and still be at capacity.
So 3 more, so, they 44 now.
So one of the things we need to do is get with Amazon and just kind of look at the business of doing that, see what it's gonna take, what kind of costs we're looking at.
Is there been some, you mentioned costs? Decision's been going on for a while. Is there some discussion as to the willingness for them to give it to us? And because that's what the previous gentleman in the state is gonna get all this for no cost.
Well, that's our next step right now. Well, now we've got the evaluation from a certified engineer. Now we're gonna take that and present it to Nanostone.
Okay.
Now, Nanostone and Garver have been working together, so they know what each other's, results are. So, but we're gonna need to get in there and start, coming up with some solution.
That's fine. The follow-up question I have is, do we have enough space for this 88 plus 44 at the current facility
With the upgrade, yeah,
with upgrades? So additional costs out of the county regional spot.
correct.
That's where I was just going there too. I believe even if they donate 88 plus 44 to us, we have electrical, we have installation, we have,
The racks.
we may not have footprint, we may have to expand the building.
So we have the footprint, there will have to be additional backwash facility set up, additional drain. The pre-filters are going to have to be worked on, they're going to be replaced, probably looks like, it's got a big bottleneck in it. So, yeah, it's gonna take a lot, it ain't gonna just be going there.
So do you have those numbers yet?
No,
No,
I have no idea.
That's Garver's second scope. First they had to evaluate it, now they have to come back and, give us a scope of what it's gonna take to put those in.
So I'm smirking because it's like picking the poke, you're getting this is gonna cost you a lot more money. I don't know. I'm not invested in this, so I'm just kind of asking the question.
It depends on how those negotiations go.
Sure.
Yeah. It's gonna cost Canyon Regional money.
Sure.
It will not be
It's gonna
zero.
cost business money.
It's sure.
Yeah.
The question is how much more money?
Yeah.
How much can you believe, I guess, is the question.
And Garver's already been authorized for that second scope?
No,
Not yet.
no. First scope is just to evaluate it.
Have they provided a proposal for that second scope yet?
No, because we wanted to finish up this,
That
the
makes sense.
evaluation scope first before we go into the next one.
Because I'm right now thinking about a time frame because if they have to put together a proposal, trustees have to approve it, they have to do the work. If we have an actual negotiation with Nanostone about, maybe they give the material to us, but we have this other sum of money that I don't want to pay, it feels like we're paying for it twice. Then, this is a protruded time frame that is gonna take a while. And then design whatever work we need to do, then bid it, build it, this is not gonna be.
Years.
In years, yes, sir.
No, but it's what if I want to know how much it's going to cost this whole thing. So now it's going to give us 88, right?
88 plus 44,
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
we're not paying for that. But how much is it going to cost me as an entity?
It's gonna be-
Maybe weigh that with the fact that I'm getting water, I don't know, but we need to understand the whole project, not just take a piecemeal.
Yeah.
It's too long, we'll do piecemeal, and it's not going to work.
And the 88 plus 44 gets us up to the 14.4, if I'm quoting the numbers correctly, that we're supposed to get out of what's existing.
Get you above and beyond that.
Some days,
Yeah, but I think the trustees were well aware this was gonna be protracted, because we didn't necessarily trust the numbers we got. We had no firm to tell us, we did the evaluation and this is the number. And you couldn't move forward with negotiations until you knew, was it 40 or was it 240?
No, I understand that, Brian, but you're going to go back and it's going to cost you $20 million to make some expansion. You're going to have to get those entities to go into a bond sale or something.
Oh, yeah.
The entities who are going to say, yes, get the 132, I'm just saying 20 million.
Yeah.
132, I'm gonna have to come back and we have to get money from them. Well, maybe I'm not ready for that, I don't know. But I think it's best to tell the story.
We kind of got our arm behind our back.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, what's the alternative?
well.
I mean, I'm not vested here, I'm not saying, but I think as Canyon Regional, the story should be a complete story. What the project is, what this is, and that everybody feels fine, comfortable, we understand we're gonna go into debt at some amount. When you outweigh this other projects, well, we're free and so, Again, I'm not listening, I'm just saying, I'd like that to be done if I was on the board.
Sure.
And, you know, I have a vote, and that's one of the questions I'll ask, well, how much is it gonna cost? Nobody knows with them. You know, I won't go against them, those, but it's, I question that. I wanna know how much it's gonna cost right now.
Well, one thing that just came out is we have a float rate now for the cartridges. So there are a couple of entities that have some additional water, it'd be the time to do an upgrade. If you're gonna do these other upgrades, you might as well bring in additional water in at the same time. That might help on the cost some, now that we have the correct float rate, so.
And then us in Green Valley had some GRA water.
That's what I'm talking about. So,
And that's the story, that's the whole story, that's the whole project, how this thing plays out and how everybody's gonna benefit or not. You know, that's what I'm saying, because you can't just piecemeal and later on say, I know you're thinking about that, we have additional water, so we always talked about expanding it, yes. But what is it gonna cost entities, you know, and I know time is of the essence, I know this is, what, you know, quite honestly, we can't do stuff like that. We need to know what the whole project is, so that way the entities can feel comfortable and then go into debt, and they understand it. Whereas, the one you say is called, for example, but that's creeping and creeping, every couple of years, they're going into debt and debt and debt.
Yeah, I don't know where trustees would get the idea that they wouldn't have more costs, maybe just the fact they forgot it and can go on for long. I don't disagree with you any single bit. We have this new piece of information. While we give this new piece of information, say, here's how this whole thing plays out. We figure out how much it's going to cost. We have this negotiation. Some amount of that money may be attributed to Canyon Regional. Maybe the answer is zero. Maybe it's not. And I think calling that plan out is fine. I think trying to give them a number next month or whatever is impossible.
That's the next one, but I think going back to Nicholas's point about the task order, get the task order now, because you already have one answer.
Yeah.
You know, what's it gonna cost for me to expand it, to be the other answer.
Yeah.
And as we start telling the story, this is how we do it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, this is a big problem. It's not ideal, I guess is the best way to say it, but let's figure out our steps and start clicking them off so that, we get to the end.
Well, the first step is just to make sure that how many we needed, or where to go from here. Now, like we say, is the next step that we need to figure out the scope of work that's gonna take to fit those in there. So, we'll work on it.
And I don't know any entity that's gonna sign a blank check and sit there and say, yeah, we're gonna, I mean, everyone's gonna do the due diligence and have to have a number, or else no city or no government entity is gonna just blindly say, yes, go for it.
But yeah, we also don't want, to Virgil's point, we're getting a month away from bond issuance, and there's trustees saying, what bond issuance? What are you talking about? Am I still paying for this? No, unfortunately, it is what it is. Communication, it doesn't hurt.
Any more updates on water treatment plant improvement projects?
So I guess I'm a little confused so far. So you got the evaluation. So are we saying that we want them to go into the next step and start finding out then what the scope is going to be for the construction? Do we want to go ahead and, I'm asking, do we want to go, okay.
And
So
so
then,
we're gonna need to see how much it's gonna cost to do the next step if we get the extra, cartridges and everything. So we're gonna need to know what that's gonna cost next. So we'll get a scope of work and the proposal.
I just want to make sure that we all understand where we're going.
We have an agreement in place with Garber. We have not approved the task order related to this.
Right.
And that's what needs to happen.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, right.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I also might suggest that if we have a third or fourth task order with Garber, we might ask them now for a cost so that we don't take phase one and they give us a small cost and now it puts in the door. And then step two, you know, they put an extra 10-15% markup on it because we've got to use them. And then when we get to step 3 and 4, you know, the costs tied to them are higher. Might suggest that if we know what that third and that fourth step might be, we go ahead and talk to them about a fee now, so that then when we cross the second step with them, we have that third task order at a cost generated where we can maybe expedite it and then cost doesn't creep upward.
At task order 3 and 4, that's PFAS and taste and odor? Something like that?
And I don't know what those are specifically.
Yeah.
You're better on that than I am. I was just saying whatever those next steps were to get us to the finish line.
you know, part of that scope is that, or their recommendation is going to be a lot of the pre-treatment. So if that additional water is going to be brought in, that's why I was saying that, whether, if y'all want to bring y'all some additional water in, we should look at that at the same time. If not, you're going to be going right back redoing, which is just
That'd be an option.
yeah.
You're also gonna have to do something with post-treatment for the recycling system.
That's part of their deal with the folks too, but on our backward water.
I think all I was trying to get at, Nick, was I don't think 3 and 4 are directly related to the membrane replacement in the building as much as what's coming in the future with PFAS, how you address taste and odor using charcoal, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with
That's
this,
okay.
so I was just whatever was next, and so
You know, the thing is, what's important not to get this thing even more complicated than it is maybe there is some treatment or technology that while we're doing this, we should be incorporating that. And I guess the question is, how far do we want to evaluate that? Is there an impact? That might be a good question for Garber, is do these other scopes of PFAS and taste and odor, or do they really need to be incorporated today, looking at this evaluation with Nanostone or not? Or is it something that is unrelated, can be done before the plant somewhere else and really isn't impacted by this project? Probably be good due diligence to do. That makes sense.
Yeah, we'll ask them about that and see if they feel like it should be incorporated in this current task.
Okay, one last comment. What I don't want to see here is all of a sudden we're spending, 20 hours a week on PFAS when the problem is getting the membranes up to speed either. That's where the headache of trying to incorporate all the additional tasks are. But it may be worth just bringing up, hey, make sure there's not something that's coming to treatment train that we're impacting that can be fixed today for PFAS. Sorry. Sometimes I get a little too far in the weeds.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now you can go on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Interconnect water line, Arlen?
Yeah, we really didn't have too much difference there. It does sound like Canyon Regional staff and Alliance have some discussion still to do. Maybe there's a little bit of miscommunication. Maybe you can talk a little more to that about where we are with the project, who's doing what, and maybe our construction committee meeting was a couple weeks ago, or I guess a week and a half ago. Has there been any change with Alliance since that construction meeting?
Well, that's what I was saying a while ago, that we got that meeting next Wednesday.
Okay.
I want to bring something up, Brandon, in regards to the lines. County line is asking for a second delivery point on pipeline C. And at some point, the lines, I guess they're gonna meet when y'all meet with them, to ask them to bring the carry. And so the way this works is because County line has an agreement with Canyon Regional, and Regional has an agreement with the lines, this has to be vetted through Canyon Regional. The burden and the cost is not going to be borne on County line, but it's just a formality. And so it's essentially because we have growth, and it's like Misty Line, I don't know if you know Misty Line, but our proposal is to do that with a storage tank and basically take water at a second delivery point. I believe quite a few of our entities have asked for delivery points. Maxwell, then part of the lines have a delivery point. Crystal Clear has 3 or 2.
How asked for a third, I think.
Kyle asked for a third. So this is not something that's uncommon, Carrie, just something that, because of the way the structure is, that we have to go into it. Blessed by Canyon, again, all costs will be borne on by County line.
Do you want to bring that up during our Alliance discussion at the Board of Trustees, just to help get that idea across that?
I can, but I'm sure if they meet with Graham next week, Graham's going to bring it up. Ask Graham to bring it up.
Okay.
And I'm just bringing it up here because
Yeah.
when we're talking about it, it makes sense. Y'all understand what we're asking for.
Do you know if these additional delivery points become a part of the overall project, or is cost allocated to
They're allocated to the agenda, so we're doing.
whoever requesting?
Yes, we're requesting it, yes. Or, in some situations, because entities have 3 delivery points, we have 1, the other one's not unreasonable. I think, Gina, I don't think you paid for another delivery, but I think it's part of the master planning. They asked for delivery points, and that's what it was.
The actual delivery point location from the very beginning.
Yeah, and so we're asking for one, and I think we may or may not, but I know certainly Maxwell had to pay, because now we weren't part of the project. We don't get $500,000, whatever it was. But we may or may
Maybe
not.
500 now, I think we were quoted to read something.
But, you know, again, the relationship with the Alliance, everybody understands, makes sense that everybody has a delivery point. I think San Marcos has 2 or 3 delivery points. And so, yeah, it's just,
Okay. Wells Ranch Water Treatment Plant Emergency Generator Project.
Waiting on the scope, right?
Yeah, nothing's changed as far as I know. Still waiting on a scope from Ardura. I think, are we gonna have that scope for the April meeting? Now that we have an extra week?
I have that scope, and peak flow, and we'll have to get, I think we'll have to get permission from the board to fund that. The cost right now that they've submitted is, a little over $400,000. It's got some fluff in it that I'm gonna work with and scrub out, but it's moving in the high 300s. That's what we'll work.
You want to talk about unexpected cost of merger? That's one that's coming, that everyone needs to be well aware of, that we don't have a funding mechanism for at all.
for the generators. Yes.
No funding mechanism, no water contract that says this is paid for in this way, shape, or form. Right now, the generators and installation are all paid by Wells Ranch 2 participants.
Which everybody didn't pay.
Not everyone gets part of it.
Everybody benefits.
So that's another big problem I brought up to Tim, the board president, a few times, that we're gonna have to talk about in the meeting sooner rather than later, about how that's gonna get funded. And
So just to throw a jab here, there's no generator at Ace Caldwell, right? It's affiliated with this mess.
no, would you like one? Jump into the project? Yeah, I'm just one trustee, but I don't see how Ace Caldwell paying for the generator project. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, but you can if you like.
Take any contribution we get.
Yeah. Yeah, so no change there, other than we need to move that forward pretty quickly. We did bring up to staff the importance that the, new requirements with the Senate Bill 3 are looked at, because when we did this generator project, there were no Senate Bill 3 requirements. We started this project as leftover Wells Ranch 2 money, just as a luxury item. And those items, they're not luxury items anymore. So it may be that not only do we have to fix what is there right now, but we've got to add to it, because there's additional requirements that we didn't initially have. So that's another thing out there that needs to be discussed on the board level.
So something to throw out there, Brandon, you're probably familiar with this, and maybe Justin, maybe Regina. We had at one point talked, and Albert was here, about doing some type of capital improvements plan or some type of plan with regards to the infrastructure needs to be in place. We need to pick that up when we start doing that.
Oh, I agree.
I know we have this repair and replacement fund, and the reality is it's getting older, it's gonna have to be repaired, so maybe, I don't know how to get started, maybe Carrie, you can do that, figure out how we do a master planning for this. I know we have this master plan, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the reality. Looking at infrastructure, looking at the data, looking at when it's replacing, figure out some funding mechanism, because at some point, something's gonna break, it's gonna be very expensive, and repair and replacement funding can be funded.
We need a water development fee as well. We need to be able to fund Canyon Regional's ability to go out and find water for us, and not be tied to, okay, you want it now, there's no real agreement for it, but we're getting it. Eventually, those things have to change for Canyon Regional.
And that kind of ties into the asset management plan also, getting a good deal on, all the equipment that CRWA owns, the life of it, and get, that kind of starting step for developing that capital improvements plan. Start with a 5-year plan. In my opinion, eventually we should get to where we have a 25-year plan. 25 years kind of written in pencil, but 5 and 10 year, or 5 especially, should be fairly solid.
So many of Canyon Regional's capital improvements have just been driven by need. Mm-hmm. And so, okay, we've got this facility, it's not that old, let's add on to it, and it's not really been planned out until the time of the need. Right? That's got to change, just to your point.
Yeah, and literally today, I guess, let's use the example today, each plant has problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's caused by whatever, but they have problems. I'm not using that. If it was plant coordinating, could go I'm not saying that, but you have that, and you compound that with something going out, that has problems with this, and it goes back to who's paying for this. You're paying over here, you're paying over here, you're paying for a lot of things that maybe shouldn't have broken, or should have had some idea how to replace it. Money to set aside. Joan's gonna probably say this, and I don't think we're gonna want, we've been fighting with this for a long
We
time.
fought for a long time,
Well, you remember how hard it was just getting repair and replacement?
and I think we started out with either $250,000 or $500,000, and that was kind of like really pulling teeth, and we were very lucky when that line broke,
That we had.
that we had that fund. And that's kind of what it was for, if something, a major repair that came up.
Well, it's a membrane fund. What would we have done without the membrane fund a couple times? Of course, now it's on helping Hayes
But the
Cole.
membrane fund has been in place since the membrane started,
Yeah.
is my understanding. That
Yes.
was, and we knew, like, with the coke fiber, it should last this amount of time, this is what it should cost.
Yeah.
We did the same thing, both plans. Now that East Caldwell, because of the haul trailer costs, that's pretty much, there is no additional funds in there to actually replace that membrane.
I think SSLGC, if I remember correctly, they have a repair replacement fund and they have a future development fund. And I don't remember how they fund it, it's been so long, but you may want to reach out to them to just see how they structure that.
The big thing is, and granted, board members have changed, they're not, shouldn't say it like this, old school, we're not gonna hold on to our money, and hopefully that we can progress into something like this. But at the same time, trying to make sure that we always have the funding available to make debt service payments. We had a reserve in there, and then it was cut back because you're holding kind of like my money when, so.
And not to mention, there's about, not to mention, infrastructure we have, 1994, it's called, was it 1998, maybe I can't remember, or vice versa. And then Rose Ranch 2001.
Yeah.
So you have these pipes that have been around for a while, they've been lasting a long time, but you need to have some idea how you can replace these and how you can get money. With those fights, those discussions will come up, but I think a lot of the old school, if I may say that, has left, or part of the old school. But I think the idea is that proper management and understanding that you have these assets, that they need to be replaced. We need to come to Jesus and say, we start putting money like this, it's can be needed, but the problem also is that we have separation.
Yeah.
We have our Hayes Caldwell.
Yeah.
We have this, we gotta figure out where Hayes Caldwell pays for that. We pay for that, maybe generators collectively, and Wells Ranch Recon, something like that. It always needs to be vetted out and figure out how we're gonna maintain the system, because the systems can hold.
Well, on top of that, we've got two systems here that don't contribute at all to mid-cities. The pipeline itself, they only have plant, they don't have any pipeline. That's a problem too.
Yes.
When we're talking about all this and how to replace it.
Yes. And that's probably where the gonna come up with that.
Won't this be discussed among the board of managers or the trustees? The fact of the matter is we've come up with ideas, but as far as the overall direction will come from managers, correct?
Well, I think, but also, Brandon, we have some still we could recommend. We asked the general manager to start looking at this master plan, whatever you want to call it, and he starts doing that. And the direction we can do it, and then we start figuring out how to do it, whether we engage an engineer or somebody to do it.
Well, we probably need to see what's the proper way to do that. Does the board of managers direct the general manager? I would say the answer to that's probably no.
No, I'm not saying they
Yeah.
direct the general manager, I'm saying they make a
Direct to
recommendation.
the board of trustees,
Yes.
exactly, perfect,
And
yeah.
then it comes out, but the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Since you have a new general manager, I'm sure you follow us, but
Well, that also is something that's gonna affect the budget, so,
yes.
when that happens, say, okay, we're gonna need to put this in the budget, and do we wanna make this into effect, October 1st? Or are we gonna wait till next year?
Yes.
And, the preliminary budget is wanted in July. So, just FYI.
So what I would say, just me, again, I don't want to enjoy this conversation, but I would say Terry starts thinking about this. We already have the board of managers who make a recommendation, whether you capture some costs now that's left over in the budget this year, move on to the next year, review it, whenever the budget allows it to do, but we need to start thinking about that. And so Terry can come back with his idea. We heard it from the board manager, he can come to us and say, this is how I think we're gonna do it. And then say, we bless it, take it to the board of trustees, how much money it's gonna cost, and think some timeline, and start based September, if there's some money left over, to carry it over and budget it for next year.
Nothing left over?
Rainy day funds.
It has to be passed around.
Sorry, there is like, no money left over,
But you know what?
especially this year.
Yeah, whatever it is, the longer we wait, the longer it's gonna be difficult for us. And we have someone new here who's an engineer, take advantage of the fact he's been here a long time. He's understands the whole of it, we support him, but he's hearing what we need.
Regina, are you picking notes, what we think we
Well,
had
and
in the budget?
no, I know, but we talked about, was it $500,000 we talked about increasing something a couple of years ago, and everybody was concerned.
Everybody balked at it.
Well, I was right in the middle of COVID, and everybody was just.
So there was a lot of different things, and so in the last couple of years, what we've done in that repair and replacement fund is, we get with David, the plant managers, and this is a major repair that we feel is gonna happen this year. And so that's what we budgeted for and nothing beyond that. Where, like, I think this year was like 1.7, where, okay, why don't we just budget 2 million? And granted, it's gonna, and the way we do the repair and replacement fund is based on Canyon Regional as a whole, based on plant contracts. Is that really the correct way to do it? Maybe not. But, it's never been, when we first started it, yeah, it was like, we're just putting this money in there. But then it came, okay, we need these items. And then we cut it back again, and now it's these items. There's never been any excess per se.
Well, let's be fair, the 1.7 includes 1518
1518,
civil crossing,
19.
which aren't really any kind of improvement, it's just a tech stop relocation. So we're not putting 1.7 million aside for repair and replacement.
Except for the fact that, like, the I-10 project, that's 100%, funded.
But still, it's not even fully just the repair and replacement projects, we've also put in these projects that we didn't need to do yet, but states or TxDOT forcing us to do. So it sounds like maybe a little bit more money to somehow, but understand, it's not 1.7. For our projects, for what David needs, is less than that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for the highway.
And usually when we have, to the point of things coming up and needing to maintain, is we should have a master plan. Right? Master plan would outline everything you have from A to Z and then how you go through systematically, revamping, and doing that. So maybe that would be the next step.
That should tie into your asset management right here.
Just
Yeah.
Switching what we all do, because that's what we do. Why can't we do here? So I think that old school.
That's the biggest thing is, I think it's, and I think direction, sorry, but I think the biggest thing is, there's so much with Canyon Regional over the years, it's been a bum rush. Everything is like, it's gotta be, because we are in such a panic. And I'm so tired of doing that, and I'm a planner, that's what I do, and so it unnerves me to be sitting in a board meeting, and all of a sudden you're flooded with all these expenses, and we know that for years, things need to change. I think we need to quit coming with partial information. I think it's good to say, hey, this is what, like you were talking about, just like, hey, this is what's coming with ARPA. Just to kind of give, like, put the bug in their ear, but say, we're working on an asset management plan, we're gonna bring more stuff to you. We're working on, the financial part of the repair and replacement, master plan, those kind of things. And that's what you bring to the board, and that's how you help back what you're proposing. It's so very difficult for board members to sit there and feel like, for lack of better terms, it is half-assed when you get it. But it's not all that, not all that's done. I know with Wells Ranch 3, that was part of our concerns too, is like you're saying, if you don't know what money's coming at you, you're gonna have to supply, it's really hard to say, sure, I'll come on the line for a water contract, so.
And to Berto's point earlier with what I believe is proper management now, and I commented on how many pages of notes you took on your first day in our construction committee meeting. There's a lot to do, and I feel confident that if we allow the new general manager to start checking things off the list and doing them completely,
Yeah.
and they're done, we will be in better shape. It's just gonna take some time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're gonna have to have patience, no doubt about it. But I think Canyon Regional as a whole, it feels like, I think the board and now management are probably on the same page with doing things better, having a better mechanism in place for them. I think that's fair, but we're not there yet by far.
No. But I think it gives a lot more credibility to the staff, not that they don't do their job and do a great job, but I think when you're coming to the board and you're looking at 22 faces, it gives much more credibility if you've got at least most of the answers in your hand and you can back it up. That, it makes me more confident in making a decision, rather than having to ask 15 different questions and not one answer being available. That should, not too simple.
Yeah, we're moving in the right direction
Correct.
to right now we're reactive. When we get over that hump where we're a proactive organization. And some of you heard me say this before, when we get to where we're proactive, then we can create a shared vision. Yeah, I know different entities have different interests, but we're here as a whole. And if we can create that shared vision, then there's nothing we can't accomplish.
And it's a process, and I realize it's a journey, it's not gonna happen overnight, but we gotta get there.
More comments on Wells Ranch?
Well, just one, and then Bertha alluded to this earlier. If we have a power failure right now, then for all practical purposes, we're dead in water. No pun intended. Do we have some operating generators right now, Randy?
No.
David?
No.
So, yeah, without power, we can't operate, so that's something, I said with Joan earlier this morning to see where can that money come from, and, one of the line items we looked at was that repair and replacement fund, but, if we pull $400,000 out of there right now, well, we got a lot less to, operate in reserve in case something else comes up.
Yeah, the trustees really need to discuss where that money's gonna come from and how to make, if it comes from repair and replacement, how to make whole. It can't come from repair and replacement, be like, okay, we'll just start the fund over again.
Right.
That doesn't work. And so I think, hopefully, the project is small enough that we don't have to do a bond issuance from it. These systems you have to understand, they're gonna ask to put that money back. They don't get to keep it.
There's some other possibilities, but, none of them are great solutions, they're just, solutions.
I can carry just a little bit of history in regards to the power situation at Moss Ranch. GDC has notified us in the event that there's any limbs falling, any hurricanes, they're not gonna go out there and fix it, so they're gonna wait till everything passes. So you have limbs, they can destroy stuff, and these lines that run over there, we may not have power for a while, but GDC is not gonna go out there and notify Canyon Region, they will not be out there sending crews to address this during the time. Of course, they have Orange territory, so let's put that in the back of your mind. That's the whole reason we went with the generators. I hope that it will help us.
What doesn't fully solve that, but what I think is better is they change their mechanism for being able to switch the power source over, which is different than it had been, but still, nothing, and I don't think they've changed anything in their operations that say, send our linemen out while it's still windy or still dangerous.
True,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's made clear, if we had a situation.
Yeah.
We got questions, and there we go.
Yep. I mean, we paid for Wells Ranch 2 to bring a whole different circuit in, if I remember correctly, so that we didn't have to worry about generators, so we had power coming from 2 directions, but then the switch gear was manual or something, and required someone to physically go out and switch over, which they wouldn't do because they wouldn't put their linemen together. If I'm right, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So their switchgear was manual?
Yeah, they have, what they have is they have substations located in a couple different areas. And we paid to put in a switch up on the power line to switch between substations. At our Leisner booster station and also out of the Wells Ranch. So we had a situation, it was during Hurricane Harvey, where the power was out for several hours. And we had called them to come out and do the switch. And they said that they weren't going to do it because it was too windy.
So there are, it's not ideal. I know one of my facilities at the day job, we have a tie breaker in the control center where our staff, it's lockable breakers. So there's 3 breakers that run the system and there's 2 keys and you have to take one out. And it's a process, but it's within our control of which power source we feed from. Is that the best solution? I don't know, but there are ways to do that. But with GVC, if both circuits are told to be curtailed by ERCOT, both circuits go down. So
Yeah,
that doesn't help us.
Yeah, and that did happen too, where both substations we couldn't get power from either direction.
Of course, all of this was done before Anderson year 2, so.
Right.
Without the advantage of hindsight, it's not knowing that you're gonna have wide scale power failure like that.
We just have to make the best decision based on what we have existing and new knowledge, what we do today.
So it brings up the emergency preparedness plan, sure. If you have a situation where the generator is go out, you know, what is the plan? We're gonna fill up every tank that we have, and then right for the rest, I guess, I don't know, something that, if we tell the story, emergencies are gonna be down. If we have an emergency, there'll be no water, but we're gonna have a plan that basically helps get some water, whether it's trucking in another generator or something. You have something on standby. 'Cause I think you had mentioned one time about getting another generator on wheels to help, and at least push some water. Don't know, but y'all develop that.
We have an emergency preparedness plan for each plant that's fairly new. But the Wells Ranch one, because of the issues that we have with the generators, we're probably going to have to amend it somehow or something. But just for Carrie's info, we do have EPPs for all three plants.
So please wrote that down, is there one existing?
Yeah, please look at it, change it. If you. Sorry.
All right, moving on to the Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant. Tank construction, D&M.
We took construction committee took a recommendation to the full board, at the last trustee meeting for awarding the bid for D and tank. So my understanding that is executed. Did you sign that document now?
The notice of award has been sent.
Perfect.
So, we were looking at probably a notice to proceed on the 22nd.
What is the duration of that project?
1 year.
365, yeah.
And that was because of material, the stainless material.
All right, Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant membrane filter update.
Have we had any additional failures since the originals? Okay, thank you. So I think we talked a little bit about that already with the Paul trailer. And I think April 10th, again, I think keep bringing up April 10th, but I think a lot of these Hayes Caldwell related items are going to be discussed then to talk about how to move forward. You know, let's just put B and C together here, Paul filter rental and membrane filter upgrade. I think, you know, it's originally, if I remember correctly, we had thought that the trailer was going to do 2 million gallons a day, but in all actuality, 1.5.
I don't know, like 1.3 or 1.4 parts of water quality.
Yeah, and so optimum conditions were 2, suboptimal conditions 1.3, 1.5, which I think is bringing up a little bit of a problem of just having one single one. If I remember right, is it 2 million gallon skids that are at Hayes Caldwell? I apologize, I don't know the plant in and out.
Now,
Yeah.
currently there's 3 skids there now.
Yeah.
We can do about 3, 4 between the 3.
Okay, got it, okay.
Well, that's what it's rated at, permitted. So, right now, we put all the pressure on the ball trailer, and we make up with the coach system, keep the pressure off of it. It's been working great. We've actually not pinned this year, or we were pinning weekly before. So we haven't had any more failure, because we're not having to do all the chemical cleans and stuff on the coach system. But, I mean, that will change. We will have to start running down here shortly, so.
I mean, by the time so typically you expect a 5-year cycle life on the membrane, is that fair to say?
If you go by the chemical cleans, additional ones that we did, they've done fast.
Yeah, but typical, without having to do the additional cleaning and more chemicals on it, it's 5 years. So in another year and a half, y'all are coming up on 5-year replacement either way. Correct?
Probably on year 4 right now on some of them. So,
What I mean to say is don't take the news of not pinning as news of we can slow down looking at the replacement membranes. That's all.
no, I was just stating the fact that the whole trailer is saved so far.
You were trying to give us some good news.
Trying to be positive.
Sorry.
All filter rental.
Again, y'all are going to discuss that. That rental comes up in January, or February, I'm sorry, of 2025, 2-year term. It's up in February. Obviously, you're not going to have new membranes in place by February, so the decision has to be made about whether you're purchasing one, whether you're renting one, how long you're renting one, all those decisions have to be brought to us.
Do we know how long it's gonna take for TCQ to allow us to do this? We're presumably have a ask because we got their verification that we can use fall trailers, we're gonna have another fall trailer, do we have to do something different? There's some time sequence?
It took a while for Tri-Hydro to get it approved.
Yeah, but since we're adding a bit, potentially possibly adding another fall trailer, is there some other hurdle we need to do? Or is
I
it
still
just-
think we need to do a pilot report, if you will, a pilot study, because that was what took so long was we were trying to use, and it worked, but we tried to use the Paul pilot study that we did here at Lake Dunlap a few years ago, and they accepted that. The only thing is that it would be an additional treatment process. It would probably require a CT study and that sort of thing. So that's what would take time.
So I'd ask that if potentially we have some answers. If you don't have any answers, that's great, but if you have something, the path forward, if we move forward with another trailer that's gonna require this, and this, now we all understand. Because in the event that we get to the summer and then these things break and we don't have other than just one fall trailer, we're stuck with one fall trailer.
Maybe for our April 10th meeting too, David, about any electrical upgrade or plumbing needed for another trailer.
Or start getting
Okay. Item 6, Well Range 3 project, Randy, groundwater leasing.
Okay, as far as groundwater leasing, we're in the process of leasing. We have leased some, we're still leasing some more. Permitting, we're not doing anything right now because there's a lot of things that are hanging, that could determine how much we're gonna be permitting. One of the things that's we're working on too is, since Kerry came on, and there's a lot of construction going on between Hayes Caldwell and Lake Dunlap, we kind of talked about splitting this thing up to where he takes care of Hayes Caldwell, Lake Dunlap, and that, I would start working or regurgitating, whatever you want to call it, Wells Ranch. And I've gone through some of the items that we're going to be looking at over the next couple of months to figure out what we want to budget for, how much we want to budget, and some of the things that have to go into permitting, leasing, and that type of thing. And just to run through, I've got 8 or 9 items here. Some of these are going to be lumped together, but I'm working on individually until I determine which way I can lump these together. First of all, I have the licensure parallel. This is one that's gonna be working, but I don't think it's gonna happen here real quick. But we're looking at it because of having to get some additional right-of-ways, things like that. So that's something we need to start looking at. The other thing is develop a new well field on the Bloomberg property. We own 10 acres there on that site, and looking at developing a well site, or well field, and also a plant site. The only thing with that particular one is going to be Wilcox. It's going to be harder to trade for Wilcox, so it'll have to be a different type of plant. And then we also proposed that there be an additional well be at the Wells Ranch site. And along with that, we're going to have to look at additional treatment plant capacity at Wells Ranch. And all of that ties into the Leisner parallel, because that's where the parallels will start, is at Leisner, at Wells Ranch, and go out to, FM 775 with a road licensor, parallel to the end. Another thing that we're looking at is develop a plant site on the Brown Trust lease. This is a little tricky because this is in Gonzales County. And you know how much problem we had with getting the 920 acre, lease from them. So this could be a little touchy. But also along that same line, I've been kind of approached, just kind of here and there. Gonzales Water Supply Corporation, is looking at, having a water line going up to Belmont. And just by looking at some of the alternatives, it might be good to develop the Brown Trust lease at that time. But this is only talk. There's nothing there yet, and I won't know anything for a while. But just to let you know that this could be happening.
Would that be an additional member to CRWA, or how would that?
Well, see, that's talking. It could be that might be a separate entity, of some type, because we've got the water leases, and there's too much in between to even say anything yet. It's just something that they approached me on, and that's all I know right now. But I'll keep you all informed as things, if they do happen. One of the other things is, we're looking over here at Lake Dunlap, and I know we talked about a little bit as the backwash. But we're looking at different polymers that could be used that will not affect our filtration system. And also we're looking at some of the pond situation we have. And hopefully what we can do is roughly take that backwash, which comes out to about 1,000 acre feet a year, and use that for actually drinking water instead of letting it either be put on the ground over here because we can't treat it, or because if we do that, I'm afraid that it might get away from us either mechanically or human error or whatever, and will flood the trailers. And so the other thing of that is if it floods, stands there for a day or two, might have a mosquito problem. So we can use the water better than the mosquitoes. And to coin a phrase of, I think Humberto might have said this, is catch the low-hanging fruit. Well, this is almost on the ground, and it's pretty easy to get. I don't think if we can find the right polymer and do a couple little minor things, I think we can probably get that done pretty cheap. So that's another thing we're looking at. As far as the Wells Ranch Phase 1, which is the 920 acres that we've been talking about, we've got some prices together. We don't have all of them yet. We're still waiting for a few, but the attorney fees for acquiring the permits, we're going to fix them for the price. The motor, the electric, the pump, the installation, and we have to get UEC to get us some power out there. And we know that was $74,000 for that power out to Christian Oil.
12,000.
12,000, okay.
For GVC's part to do the upgrade for the meter, and then there's another, 50,000 so far that we've got on, the switch gear and MCC part of it and stuff, some of the wire, I don't have a quote on the pump, motor, wellhead, I don't have a quote on yet. We do know that it's gotta go from a 100 horse to a 200 horse motor. So,
And so we're gonna be talking $300,000-$400,000 probably. So, anyway, we're putting that together right now. We're gonna have a meeting with, a few of the entities that, have expressed an interest in this after this meeting. So we'll see where that goes. And that's about it for me.
So I got a couple questions. Brian.
Sure.
And I apologize. So I see you have a meeting after this meeting, so I don't know who you're gonna meet with, but, you know, county line's part of Rose Ranch Street. I wasn't invited to the meeting, so I don't know what you talk about. It's 920 feet of water. We all spoke collectively that we're all part of Rose Ranch Street, because we're going through 920 feet of water. Maybe this meeting is just with Green Valley, Springs Hill, and East Central. Maybe that's what it is. That was the purpose of this water. What I'm stating is, we gotta stop doing the practice where only certain people are invited to certain meetings. What I do not want happening is there be an agreement where we all collectively decide to go into Rose Ranch Street, although there's nothing documented as far as the contract, that some of us can be left behind. Now, to me, that's very important. And hopefully Kerry will consider this, is that all those involved in Rose Ranch Street will be part of the discussion with Rose Ranch Street from now until this project is done. Because what I heard you say also is Bloomberg, I heard you say the ideas, which was not part of Rose Ranch Street. Rose Ranch Street, which we're all paying, which was Lisa's and Gonzalez. And you're switching, I know you're switching based on the ideas. We had these ideas in the past. There's a path forward for all of us to move forward. And the path forward was to go to Gonzalez, get 14,000 acre feet of water, do the low-hanging fruit, provide water to Springs Hill, Green Valley, East Central, have an agreement that basically does not leave anyone behind. I'm concerned that there's a meeting right after this where some of us are not even invited to.
No, you're invited. I mean, it's not.
I didn't go to the meeting. I just saw this right now. To me, that's concerning. So moving forward, I think collectively, the group needs to get together. I was hoping this meeting, this Rose Ranch Street meeting, which is what someday came up with a construction meeting, that we all get together and start talking about this, how this works, how the contracts are done, how everybody understands. There's costs. You're talking about $340,000 that needs to be. We all understand that this is part of the bigger project, not just piecemealing. To me, that's concerning.
We were gonna take on some of the costs for this,
Yes,
the treatment 900 acres.
yes,
Right.
but
I'm not going to run up on the meeting and discuss them.
Well, I would be careful with that, because you don't want to not participate in it, because you
Well,
have to
I
be
mean,
cheap for us. And we don't want that, I know you suffer that, I can't speak for Green Valley, Springs Hill.
Nothing's changed. We need to mend, relationships
Yeah.
and at least, y'all believe me or think I'm a liar, but as far as Nick Sherman goes, I'm not gonna do anything to undermine anybody here.
Yeah, I think you can exchange at least with the members, at least East Central Green Valley, Springs Hill still getting their kind of head wrapped around this a little bit, I think. I have no intention of leaving people behind. I just think that it's gonna have to be phased in such a way where everyone's gonna have to understand whatever happens here needs to be reincorporated in the whole project.
yes, and that's, I understand that, and we're on that, what I'm talking about this meeting, and that needs to stop. It needs to be
Communication, just like we talked about earlier.
And I'm glad Springs Hill is here, because we've been advocating in Springs Hill, and we've had, discussions with the previous general manager, we had discussions with your engineer, we talked about reversing the line, and so the question came up over Springs Hill. And I'm glad you heard this thing, collectively, we need to work together to see how this comes about, and if there's gonna be a change in the path forward, we need to understand what that change is going to be, because we're paying for leases now for Gonzalez. And those who are paying leases for Wilcox and Bloomberg are not all part of Rose Ranch Street. So that's another hurdle that's going to be a problem to some entities that are sitting here today. We've been paying for Bloomberg, and that water is going to be used by somebody else. Again, that's not what should be happening. So there's going to be some discussion. I understand you're doing fact finding, which I appreciate, but there's going to be a discussion as to the change in the path. Collectively, we all need to understand that.
And let me, go ahead.
Let me add, all these things I mentioned, except for the phase one, all these things I mentioned, I'm putting together a budget and what it takes. Now, this is the setup for y'all to point out which way y'all wanna go. But if you don't know what it's gonna cost to go any which way, it's not gonna do us all any good. So, once I get these things together, we're gonna have, through the budget process and everything, we're gonna go through all of this and to figure out which way to go. I mean, you're not gonna be excluded, nobody's gonna be excluded. My understanding, and I might be wrong, but my understanding was that these 920 acres was between Green Valley, Spring Hills, and East Central. And that's why I mentioned that. Now, if that was wrong, it's my fault, but that was my understanding.
Yeah, but just to rebuttal that, we all understand what this project for Wells Ranch 3 costs. We had it cost 3 years ago, whatever it was. We all understand what that is. We all kind of have an idea. As far as paying for any diversion of the plan, I don't know if I'm willing to pay for that because I don't know what the plan is. I know the plan, and we stated it's difficult to get water from Gonzales. But there's things that can be done to Gonzales too. We're getting leases, we follow the mag, we can still do that. I'm at it right now to put more money in a separate plan while I'm telling my board the plan is this. I think the path forward is Gonzales. I think the path forward until we change collectively, we all need to understand that we're going to change. We're going to throw more money in for another idea of how we're getting water to Wells Ranch 3. I'm fine with that, but that's never, until today I'm hearing that, so that's kind of like, that's not the plan. That's not what I thought I was paying for. And that's the only issue I have. So please move it forward, any meetings with regards to Wells Ranch 3, all entities are involved. And I do understand the low-hanging fruit, because we spoke about that. And yes, Springs Hill, East Central, and Green Valley need it for some reason, less infrastructure costs for everybody else. It's there. We can utilize it, we make it faster. Yes, that makes sense.
Mr. Schwinn, Justin and I had some conversation about the actual volume, the target volume for the overall Wells Ranch project, and then the amount of leases that we have now. Are we in the 9,000 range for the leases we have now? Okay. That'll help me stay up to date on that if anytime we acquire new, if you can give us an updated total. So I just want to verify that. Thank you.
I don't have the number with me right now, but I've got it in my office, so.
All right, talking about scheduling meetings for Wells Ranch 3, it's a general discussion.
That's just recommend,
Oh, okay.
that page 1.
Oh, yeah, phase 1, sorry.
So what time is this meeting?
Right after this one.
7 minutes ago.
All right, we'll get y'all started. Evaluation, construction, design, and community.
Had a consensus meeting earlier this week. Should be getting all the individual area scores in to Adam today, and we plan on taking a recommendation to the board of trustees on April 15th.
The committee agreed to aggregate the scores and then recommend the highest scoring. I think, Hannah, you're still waiting on one. She's gonna aggregate it, send me the scores, and I'll write a letter to Mr. Foos.
That was the committee you're chairing,
Yes,
right?
And so that's how we're handling. Send it to me. I'll write a letter with that selection of the engineer that was the highest scoring total, and we'll make that recommendation to the board of trustees. We received 5. I think it was Garver, STB, which is previously CPLI, a smaller newer firm called Providence, Utility Engineering Group, and Freeze Nichols were the 5 that submitted.
Okay. Evaluation, construction, administration services.
That one is being evaluated now during the consensus meeting scheduled tomorrow. And we also plan on taking a recommendation to the board of trustees at our next meeting.
RFQ has been posted for auditor. That is the general information.
Yeah, those statements are due May 2nd. Correct.
I'll have to look.
I think it's 18. You're supposed to have their information to us, their proposals by May 8th. 18, but sometimes this one, they do this one.
It was a request by the board of trustees. We've been using the same firm for a couple of years and
Are you allowing the same firm to submit?
I believe so, as long as they
Yes.
use a different head,
Okay.
CPA.
Future water,
We're talking about that.
okay? And we've already went through drought mitigation report. Get any comments or requested revisions to have ASAP on both of those, conservation, mitigation. Budget committee, Regina.
Nothing right now, we're gonna try to meet, here pretty soon to see if we can help Joan with, look at the budget currently and see where we are on it and see what Joan can talk about anything for starting to put together the new budget year.
And the target for the draft was July, right?
Is it July or June?
It's June.
The policy committee is bringing forth a policy for the next trustee meeting that outlines July. Are they gonna implement it immediately or implement it for fiscal year 25 or fiscal year 26?
I think the current contracts.
It's a preliminary budget, so
Draft.
a draft.
But the latest communication I saw with the policy committee was that they wanted to have it to the board of managers in July, or to the board of trustees in July, and then for final approval, board of managers in August, trustees in August. That's what I'm asking. Are we gonna try and force that in this year, or are we gonna wait until the next cycle?
I think our goal was to have it this year. We just gotta push through and get as good of a swag as we can get in June to present in July. You know, with doing something like that, there always comes the possibility of amendments or adjustments, but, I mean,
I'm just going to put this out there, to have those numbers by July. I don't get those numbers, a lot of those numbers until July.
that's what I was going to say. There's a lot of us that have our fiscal year that begins October 1, and so we're waiting on all those other ones that do October 1, and they're, you know, I know with insurance, we run into a lot of problem with our health insurance. Nobody's, or even our,
You can't even get quotes.
yeah, they won't do it, they're not, is it 90 days they let them, and they're done, so they won't give you a quote until you're 90 days from your final.
Well, and I know the numbers from the Alliance, the numbers from GBRA, and the GBRA rate affects a lot of the Wells Ranch water leases.
My thought is, I think GDRA is pretty much always done 5% or 4 to 5%. I think we just increase it by that. We've got to swag so much that we're not gonna know for sure. So you know. We do the best we can do.
But this also gets back to, with the budget committee, what are we gonna do to the repair and replacement fund? Are we gonna try to put in, asset management plan, you know? This is,
We're not gonna have
That's gonna happen.
And then just goes back to not wanting it to be something we got rushed.
He's gonna have to.
Yeah.
Maybe talking about it.
But I know when we do our budget, crystal clear, we have to swag a lot of things for that very reason. We're starting in June and trying to get something to them in July to look at the draft as well. But we're having, we just overestimate things like insurance, the things that we know are gonna go up. You know, we try to overestimate those and then just bring them back within reasonable range once we get those back.
And I'm sorry, I might just interject. Going back to repair and replacement, I'm assuming business as usual, you put whatever money you think we need, and we do that until we get the plan. Yeah.
I think that's the best practice we can have right now.
So we just put whatever money you think we need.
Policy committee report,
I don't sit on the committee, I just saw the email out for the trustees.
okay. Items for next board managers or for the board trustees meeting.
I've got items, sir. So y'all are aware Alliance has appointments to the Alliance Board of Trustees coming up. I'm currently been with the Alliance for 14 years. I guess I'm the vice chair. Brandon and I had a conversation. We had a previous general manager where the previous general manager should be on the Alliance. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Brandon preferred that I remain the representative of the Alliance. That nomination or the selection comes up at hopefully the board of trustees meeting, I think it's prudent upon us, just to give you some perspective. Last night, City of Kyle had their appointments, and City of Kyle has 3 new members on the Alliance. The City of Kyle, to some extent, has been questioned about a lot of things. And so it's a good thing for City of Kyle. You know, one time City of Kyle was very powerful. The chairman was from City of Kyle. But because of things changing, they've got 3 new board members. And what I'm going to state now is I think it's prudent upon us as Canyon Regional to allow the general manager to be that appointment to the Alliance. It's a good opportunity for him to learn. I'm just saying this because I'm not sure if Mr. Schwinn reached out to me and said, would I be interested? Yes, I'm interested. I'm probably the second longest tenured one there, other than Chris Betts. Chris Betts represents County Line. And so right now, from Canyon Region, the 2 members from County Line that sit on the Alliance. Certainly, crystal clear, Green Valley have a larger share of this. And I think to keep the vote afloat, it makes sense to have me sit there. And what I'm stating now, there may be a point where the board decides to put the general manager. I think that's a good move. I'll probably won't be at that meeting. It's going to happen. So if it comes up, and I'll probably reach out to some of the other members to let them know it's no hard feelings or nothing. But there was a point that I was asked to stay on, and I really didn't want to stay on the line for some reason. We had a general manager who should have done this, but did not. And so now we have a general manager who should learn it, part of the process. So again, it's just, I'm not sure what the executive committee is going to do, but I think it makes sense that, you know, at some point, the general manager from Canyon Region will be part of the alliances. Since the Alliance and Canyon Region are tied together. I'm saying that piece on that, so I'm fine.
We had that discussion in August when you resigned your position here to go to County Line, whether you're going to stick on or not. You indicated you were, and I thought that was a good idea. I do agree, Canyon Regional at some point has to have a staff member on Alliance. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I would add that in my 2 meetings on Alliance, Berto has had, out of all the members, the most thoughtful and intelligent commentary. Some folks, let me just say, Roberto has had good, thoughtful commentary that has helped provide me some background information on what's going on simply because we talked about it, as opposed to just pushing through the meeting as quickly as possible. So, offhand, I would also encourage that we allow him to remain on the Alliance board, certainly until we get the overall package of projects complete. But I would also support Roberto to stay on that.
Yeah, the executive committee has no say in that. All we're gonna do is put an item on the agenda that says appointment to Alliance. That's for the full board to decide.
Yeah.
We have no say in that. I think staff needs to figure out if staff's prepared to put someone on there who can do the job, or as a trustee member, they always have the right to speak up at a meeting and speak your piece on those issues, so.
Is there a position for reappointments?
It's my,
It's just-
Okay.
Are we allowed to add another, like the Canyon Regional, like do we add one more?
it's changed the dynamics of everything. San Marcos will not want that. So I'm just like, I won't be at the meeting, right, because the meeting that we scheduled, that's when I have my board meeting, so, you know, whatever we decide, I'm fine.
And I'll reiterate in the trustee meeting as well, but I want to add here that, especially if there are new people coming on, having an experienced and tenured member that is considering CRWA's, interests, and a lot of the questions are crafted from a CRWA perspective that America asks. I think that's critical. I'm trying to get caught up, but I'm not near as knowledgeable with the details of the various projects. I have to keep pulling up the map, showing what the phases are and which ones are which. So, Roberto, I will speak on your behalf at the trustee meeting.
Again, whatever the board decides. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
But I'll definitely speak on your behalf at the trustee meeting for this.
Thank you.
I will say that I think it only affects like a few in this room, but your board appointments for board of trustees and board of managers, they do meet by May, so I know a lot of them have your meetings coming up, just to ensure that those get taken care of and sent over to them.
You're right, this one. Interesting for resolution.
I have another item, is Ms. Black, is that her last name? She was appointed District 9,
Oh, yeah.
TRWA, so she's usually representative. It was exciting election, even though we were votes, because somebody screwed up my delegation number. Nevertheless, some congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
The other announcement is Mr. Heideman's retiring his fanfare is this Friday, I have some invitation. Mr. Heidemann was general manager for county line for 42 years. So he's resigned, and that was now he's retired. And so I was there to take his place and something. So that's an invitation, if y'all want to come by and say, somewhere you do like some Lutheran church or something. But that's it.
And we did receive a appointment resolution from Springs Hill. Mr. Pepin, y'all know he resigned and sought employment elsewhere. They have appointed Michael Andrews. I'm assuming we need to do, there you go. Are you the new general manager at Springs Hill?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Michael will, in the past, Springs Hill hasn't been under a big participant in this meeting.
One large.
Okay, good. So we always stress the importance to Mr. Pepin and everybody at Springs Hill, important to attend.
Y'all also have
be here.
Sorry?
One of us definitely.
Okay.
I will tell you it would help if I got the packet.
Okay.
You also have Keith, you're on the board, aren't you still on the board?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you're the board member of Springs Hill. You also was the board manager of that plan for Springs Hill.
Springs Hill. I was at Springs Hill from 90 to 11.
Okay.
So I don't know what Springs Hill.
Good job. Any more, future items for this meeting or trustee agenda? Mr. Attorney.